Hi everyone, today on IPC we are learning about the history of flight. So in this lesson we are learning to know about the Wright brothers and the invention of the airplane. Early attempts at flight. Have you ever wanted to fly? People have been telling stories about flying for thousands of years. We have always wanted to fly. This painting tells part of the story of Icarus, an ancient Greek myth that is over 2,000 years old. Can you guess who Icarus is in the picture? Remember, we're learning about flying. People have experimented with different ways to fly for many years. Most were not successful. The hot air balloon was invented by Montgolfier brothers in 1783. It has become the oldest invention that can successfully take people into flight, so it's the first type of transport that could fly. The illustration on the right shows the first manned hot air balloon in Paris, France, 1783. So the hot air balloon is older than airplanes, a lot older. But who invented the airplane? Orville and Wilbur Wright were two brothers from America. Their interest in flight began when their father bought them a toy helicopter. Not a real helicopter, a type of toy that looks a bit like helicopters that we have today, but the helicopter had not been invented yet. Their first airplane, the Wright Flyer, flew in 1903. So the first flight of a plane was 1903, but the first flight of a hot air balloon was 1783, a long time before. What were the early planes like and how did they fly? So let's have a look at the Wright Flyer, the first picture, the top picture, and a modern airplane below. So think about how are they the same and how are they different. Take a little minute to discuss this with an adult. So again, here we have the history of flight timeline. So the first thing invented was the hot air balloon in 1783. Then in 1903, we had the first flight of an airplane. In 1957, we had the first airline that had passengers in it. So the first time that people could travel to different countries on holidays. And in 1961, we had the first flight into space. How do you think the invention of airplanes changed the way people live? Okay, so can you order these events in the history of flight? So tell me which came first, next, then, and finally. I'll take a little minute and discuss it with an adult. Where would you put these pictures on the timeline? Okay, this is an extra challenge you can do at home, the Wright brothers role play. So you can do a little drama, a little role play about the day that the Wright brothers flew their first plane. I want you to think about what happened on the day that the Wright brothers flew their first flyer. What would people watching have thought or said to each other? How would the Wright brothers have been feeling? And what did people who weren't there to see it, what did they think about it? Okay, so I want you to take a little minute and tell me, what have you learned from today's lesson? Okay, so our learning target for today was to know about the Wright brothers and the invention of the airplane. If you can do that, if you know about that, then you're ready for the task.